Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about sadness. This is a pretty, I think, important topic. Y'all know I love to talk about emotional healing. But what do we do when we feel sad? When we wake up one day and we just have a lot of intense emotions, or something happens that makes us feel these emotions of sadness? Like, what are we supposed to do with that? So I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about that today. So whenever we experience something that we would call a negative emotion, just want to let you all know that is completely normal and natural. We live in a society that tries to treat every human problem like something that needs to be fixed immediately. So if someone is experiencing long-term sadness, we're just gonna throw stuff at them to just fix them, or just to fix the symptoms of the sadness, but not necessarily deal with the sadness deeply within. So just another important point is that these are normal human emotions. It is impossible for us to move through life without experiencing these things. And if someone tells you that you can do something to magically make you feel good all of the time, I would have some strong doubts that was real. So even as your vibration shifts, and if you're on a spiritual journey, you might start raising your vibrations, that's for sure. But even as you raise your vibrations, it doesn't mean you won't still experience a range of emotions within that. So yeah, so for example, this lower range might have been your emotions before, but while you do some emotional healing, you might move up to that next level of emotions, but you're still going to experience a range of feelings. So these are completely normal and natural. So one of the things that I think can also contribute to sadness is the feelings of guilt and shame about those emotions. So just comfort yourself by reminding yourself that these feelings are completely normal, that no one is above experiencing these emotions, and that you are totally safe actually experiencing these emotions, even if they can feel kind of scary at the time. You're not doing anything wrong by experiencing these feelings of sadness. So just try to allow those emotions or feelings of shame or guilt just kind of move through you as you see fit. And the other thing to remember as we're experiencing sadness is to remember to try to view sadness instead of something that's here to try to hurt you or to just make your life miserable, or something that's completely meaningless. And try to see if you could view sadness as a guide, or sadness as a tool to alert you that there might be some things going on in your reality that could be distressing or not very comforting in that time. So once again, nothing to be ashamed about. These feelings are completely normal and natural for you to experience. So now that we know a little bit more about emotions, about what it means if we're feeling sadness, I want to tell you a couple of tips, some things that might help you manage the emotions and also move through these emotions as well. So one of the first things, one thing that I really like to do is just to ask yourself, what can I do to feel a little bit better in this moment? So, for example, earlier today I was feeling a little bit down, and one of the things that I did was taking a shower really helps me just feel a little bit better. So I did that, and then I put on a nice shirt that felt soft, some shorts that felt soft, things that make me feel a little bit more comfortable. Another example of this is you could just lay down and wrap yourself in some covers. It might not work if you're out on the town, but if you're at home, just wrapping yourself in covers can be really nice. Something else that really helps me is just like a heating pad. It can be really comforting, or ice, like an ice pack on your chest or on your forehead. It can also just help you manage some of the emotion. Temperature change can be really, really useful for some people. So give those a shot and see how that feels. Another thing is to try your best to get into the present moment mindfully. Whenever people talk about, come into the present moment, it's always peaceful in the present moment. I think it's also important to recognize that sometimes the present moment might actually just feel terrible for some people. So that might be a reality. When you look around in your space, there's nothing that seems positive to you. So the present moment it might be very hard to find peace in that present moment. So how I like to view this is that there's always multiple truths kind of going on at the same time. So yeah, it probably is true that you are dealing with a situation where you feel like things are impossible right now. But at the same time, there are things that are okay. For me, when I look outside and I see nature, that helps me remember that things are okay. There's a quote that says, "Nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished." No matter where we see ourselves in kind of the stream of life, that's okay wherever you are in that moment. Another thing that might be useful, like I mentioned, is going outside. That's one of my go-tos when I'm feeling kind of funky. And when you go out there, I'm not just asking you to just stand outside and be like, okay, great, I'm outside. Try it as best as you can to just breathe in the fresh air. Air is life, air is energy. So really see if you can even imagine breathing in light, breathing in positive energy that exists abundantly in the universe, breathing out any tension, any negativity that might be resting inside of you. If you have it within you to maybe go for a short, like 2-minute walk, that could also be useful to help get some of that energy moving around in your system. On a similar note, another thing that could be very helpful is just moving your body. I think that this is a great way to move some of the energy of sadness. Emotions, right? Emotion, energy is the E in motion. So when we think about emotions, let's try to shift the paradigm and start to be thinking about it as energy that's in motion. And when it's stuck inside of our bodies, that just means we need to do some things to allow that energy to move freely throughout our systems. So clearly, obviously, you can go and, like I said, you could go for a walk. You could go do yoga practice, lift some weights, do anything else that kind of gets your body moving. Gentle stretching, if working out isn't really your thing, could also be very good. And one that doesn't require any tools, anything else other than just your body and the moment, for me, is just like bouncing. And that might seem kind of silly, but if you want to try it, if you just stand somewhere and just kind of bounce on your heels for a little bit. I'm going to do it for just a couple of seconds. Shake out your hands while you're doing this. I really like, sometimes I get tension in my jaw, so I like to make sure I'm moving my jaw around as well. Sometimes sticking out your tongue can also help just loosen up some things going on in your body. And so just spend some time wiggling around. It doesn't take a whole bunch of energy to do this, so even if you're feeling super low energy, this is something that you can try. And then after you've done that for a couple of moments, take a deep breath and then just feel the energy moving in your body. For me, it becomes much easier for me to sense energy after I do that bouncing for a little while. So that is a great way just to start getting the energy in your body moving a little bit, so that you might not hopefully feel as stuck in that space of sadness after that exercise. Another thing for you to try, and this is, like I mentioned earlier, emotions are a lot they're like guides and teachers, and instead of things that are just trying to hurt you or just cause you pain. So when we're thinking about an emotion, one thing that I have done in the past, and that's been really useful to me and other folks that I've worked with as well, is to personify sadness as much as possible. So just take a second, sit down, stand up, whatever, and just close your eyes for a second and just try to tap into where you feel that feeling in your body and just get a good sense of how it feels to feel sadness. And then ask yourself, what do I think that this would look like? You just want to ask yourself, what would it look like? Does it look like a person? Does it look like another version of me that's sad? Maybe it looks like a child. Maybe it looks like an animal. It could look like anything, right? It doesn't have, there's no right or wrong answers here. And then after you do that for a couple minutes, you have an idea, maybe you've gotten kind of a connection to this emotion in a different way. Start to have a conversation and talk a little bit about what that emotion wants from you. What is sadness trying to communicate with you in this moment? So just sit there for a couple moments and see what you get. Whenever I do this, it's super important to get out of your head and dive deep into the body, because you don't want to be thinking too much about this stuff. Try to let the answers kind of rise up from your subconscious mind. That's where all the answers are anyway. So you want to just let them arise, almost like you're feeling them come up from your heart space or from your gut, to your mind, and just allow these things to rise. And then just communicate with yourself a little bit, for a moment. Ask yourself what that emotion needs, and if it's in your power in that moment, do it. Get resources from other folks to help you out to get this thing done, to help you heal in the way that is best for you. And this might be my last point here. Yeah, the other one, okay, this one's really, really good, and super important when we're dealing with sadness at all, in any different circumstance. Let the emotion know that it's okay for it to exist inside of your body. Now, this might be very difficult if you are in a crying spell, or if you're, I'm not talking about anxiety here, I'll probably talk about that on another day, but it's difficult when you're feeling intense emotions of sadness, like, to say like, oh, it's okay for you to be here, might feel completely far out of your comfort zone. To tell this emotion that's caused you so much pain that it's okay for it to exist might feel very counterintuitive. But I'm asking you to give this a shot, to invite those emotions and tell them that it's okay for them to stay for a little bit. This happens, like I said, when we start to shift our perspective from seeing our emotions as things that are trying to hurt us, and we shift towards understanding that emotions are trying to guide us, to teach us things. Then it becomes a little bit easier for us to open up those, or invite those emotions in, to move throughout our body. And then if you kind of want to make this into a little bit of a practice, if you just want to sit down for a couple minutes and watch how the emotions move through your body, that'll be very, very useful. I have found that to be very, very practical for me. And if you do this for a little while, you'll notice that the emotions will change. They actually don't have an option but to change when you allow them to exist as they are, because they want to move. The emotions want to move in your body. You just have to give them the space to do so. So when you invite those emotions and you tell them like, hey, it's okay for you to be here, they feel a little bit more at ease to do what they need to do. And then when they're done, they leave. This is kind of the process of transmutation, right? We know that energy is not either created or destroyed. It just shifts form. So we're moving that energy through our body, and it's shifting somewhere else to be used for something else. I also like to think that sometimes when we heal the energy, stagnant energy that's been dormant within us, it gives us more energy to just live our best life more effectively. So I really want you to try some of these practices, see if they help a little bit more. But like I said, take the smallest little thing. So just try to do something to help move that energy a little bit more, get your body a little bit more comfortable, invite that feeling of safety within yourself, even if things might feel really painful in this moment. Yeah, so that's pretty much most of the tips that I want to give you. If you want to work on this a little bit more and talk more about your experiences with emotion, and share that with a group of folks who are working through all of these things, I have a group for about emotional healing for the LGBTQ community, and I will leave a link for that group in the comments below, so that you can take some time to work through these things, and have folks who are also working through these things at the same time. Thank you so much for watching. Peace and love to all of you, and have a wonderful day.